Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked, and we are doing a discussion for Men at Work, which is a game that I had never heard of until you brought it up.
Yep.
And I was like, that's probably some city building,
right.
like engine worker placement game. Because I don't even know. Oh, this came out in 2018.
Yeah.
God, it's ancient.
Yep.
At this point, jeez. Yeah, so whenever you mentioned it was a competitive dexterity game, I was immediately intrigued.
Right.
Because I don't think I've actually played. Oh, I mean, there's like Flick 'em Up that I've played. Jenga is very close.
I have another one that is a sail ship, like a sailboat that you place, and it's three-dimensionally directional. And you place objects, and basically the boat tilts, and when it spills parts off, you collect those parts.
Is that the one from that...
Playmobil?
No. Is that Viking Seesaw?
No.
Okay, I'm like, that's the one that, like, Mike DeLisio loves.
Okay. No, I'll have to look up with the game. It's super cool, because the concept is basically, when you place your last piece down, and the boat stays, you win. So whoever places the last one. You can declare before you start your turn to place up to 2 pieces on your turn, but then you have to place both pieces. So if something shifts around...
It's not this one?
No.
Okay.
No, I can find it. Well, you guys discuss for a second.
Anyway, so Men at Work is super fun. I absolutely had a blast playing this. It's very, very rare that we play a game that immediately afterwards I'm like, I want to play that again.
Right.
Like, even if the game's super good, it's like, oh, I played that. Okay, like, not really vibing to want to play again. But this was definitely one of those. So I'm probably going to have to grab a copy for myself. This reminds me a little bit of Junk Art.
Yes.
If you ever played Junk Art.
Yep.
But I like this better. I think there's a little bit more to it. Junk Art, it's been years since I played Junk Art anyway. I didn't really have much care for it. I don't know why. Maybe I just wasn't into those kind of games at that time. But what do you guys think of Men at Work?
I love it. So, like, one of the people I buy board games from, he owns a store down in Rolla, just finally was able to get it, because I guess Asmodee picked this up. Finally.
Okay. So it's...
okay. So he was able to order it in, and that's why I picked it up. I've been eyeballing this game for a couple of years, because a friend of mine brought it over. We went to Ren Fair, and then he came over to our house, and we all decided to play some games, and this is the game we picked, and every time I get to play it, I want to play this game. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Brett?
Dexterity games are not my forte.
Not your forte?
At all. Largely because of the dexterity element.
Yeah, right.
The palsy gets me.
The arthritis that's kicking in. Oh, God!
But as a dexterity game, it is fun, silly, bright, but tricky.
Yeah.
It is definitely not something you're just going to, Jenga, there's a simple formula, and once you got it,
right,
then it's just a matter of waiting for gravity to take over.
Pretty much.
This, every turn, you don't know what's coming.
Right.
Okay.
Well, because Jenga stays the same shape every time, and it's like, eventually, if everyone's good, then it just keeps maintaining that shape. Here, it's like, you're more and more impressed as the game goes on, that it's like, because of the alternate win condition of getting 3, you start to become riskier, and then you make one good...
what killed me.
Right? And you make one, like, solid move at the beginning, and you just become cocky.
Yeah.
You're like, man, what? Only one beam? Pfft, okay, yeah, just give me all the little beams for my worker. It's like, what?
Yeah.
This guy, he's gonna die.
Right.
And I would say, for me, that's the only downside that I can think of, is that it is random, that how difficult your turn is going to be.
Yeah.
And so it's fair, but you just never know if, this one, easy, and I get bonus points for it. That was just luck of the draw.
Yeah.
Because there was a couple of times where I felt like, I just had to place a guy with a brick onto an orange girder. Well, there's a super stable orange girder. Boom, done. Simple enough. And then, like, Brett would get one that's like, place 3 bricks on this guy onto the highest black, tower one.
Well, they're not that specific.
Doing parkour.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know how you fix that with a game like this. I mean, to be fair,
it's not strategic enough for that to be a
it's
problem.
not that kind of game. And honestly,
it's just the only downside I can think of.
I think that kind of raises the stakes a little bit, though, where it's like, okay, because I think I had to place the brick and a beam on one guy, and that happened to be where I'm down to my last safety thing, and it's like, I could lose.
Right. but then you feel so satisfied when you're successful with it, and you're like, and now you're all fucked.
Which actually, funny enough, the one that I placed is the one that fell for you. So it's like, yay!
Because again, they're so hard to keep stable that everything, like, we're moving, like, just talking here, and pieces are shifting.
Like, I thought that, like, because the beams are color-coded, and they're the same exact shape.
Right.
That I was like, this is probably going to be easy. But they're so light that it's like, even if they're flat, they don't feel flat.
Yeah, they don't feel flat.
You're just like, I'm going to place one, and nope. Even the slight tilt where Brett was trying to go higher by placing the two beams, I was like, I don't think you can, because those beams are the worst. That's like the cheapest wood I think I've ever seen in my life. It's like, they're like matchstick. I bet you could just snap that and try it.
Probably pretty close to it.
It's not quite balsa, but it is.
It's light and it's lacquered heavy enough that the edges are a little bit
slick.
Well,
and
not
on these,
just that,
on
but
these
like
rippling,
the
sexy
corners,
men.
the corners are a little bit rounded over, like too thick on it.
I think so, yeah.
Where like it's not been sanded smooth. And again, for me, for a dexterity game, I'm fine with that because part of that's just the chaos of the game.
Exactly.
It's not supposed to be this, pristine, clean cut.
There are games like this that I believe are more of the strategic side. Now, to be fair, I haven't personally played them. I've seen them play, but like I think Tokyo Highway is a little bit more strategic. Yeah. And that's perfectly fine. This is one of those games that you're like breaking out either at the end of a game day just for shits and giggles, or this is in the schedule of just wacky fun games.
Yeah. And that's to me again, or like you've been playing serious games all day. And now it's let's say you started like at 9 o'clock and you've been playing serious games, it's 1 o'clock. You need that palate cleanser.
Right.
You get this out. Everybody's laughing. Yes, you care if you're winning or losing, but at the same time, it's like,
I'm more invested on other people's turns.
I know.
I'm
everybody's
like
helping.
Here, I want you to
succeed
succeed through this. Because if you're like hyper competitive, because earlier I felt like an asshole whenever Brett was like holding the brick on the beam, and I was like, "Can you do that?" It's like I was more just curious if you could, not like judge, like you can't touch both pieces.
I'm trying to think if I've ever played this game where people weren't like pointing out spots to place the piece.
Yeah, it's like like the one where you had to do the two supports. It's like, actually, if you come over here, you can do it, and it just like promotes that kind of gameplay, and you were talking about like the randomness of the cards. That I was thinking like it must balance itself out, because by the time like you went out, like I won like the very next full round. Like so it wasn't like you were sitting here for 20 minutes. Man, they're just really nailing it, because it's
I was interested in you guys succeeding.
And
going, I don't think that's going to work.
Right? Or here, let me help measure. What was the variant of the crane? Is that where you where you tie the noose and you just kill yourself?
So when you do the setup, you place this actually in the middle, and it's another spot to build off of.
Oh,
so you can put you can put anything like on any of these spots as well. So again, in some ways it can make it a little easier. There's a couple other ones. So like,
I don't know. I think
you can play where this is the actual base. So instead of the table, you play off of this. So you take everything out.
The actual inlay?
Yes.
No way. That's not, is that really in the rules?
Yes.
Oh my
it is
God.
one of the variants. There's a couple variants.
Is that like the support? Like you don't have the support beams, or do you just?
We start out with
you don't
put several beams and supports.
I guess so.
Yeah.
That's weird.
It's again, it's add chaos and flavor to it, to a game that is trying to be a little chaotic and a little bit of just Again, silly wackiness is a good description.
I know,
of this
just
game.
OSHA deaths are so hilarious.
Right.
Like that guy who's about to fall off, he has kids at home.
Yeah.
Well, not his problem anymore.
And again, to me, that's probably why I like this dexterity game one of the best, just because you can't take it seriously. Like, there's nothing about this game that's serious in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
Unless, like, you're just really, really bad at dexterity games and you don't like them, then you're going to probably be pissed off the entire time. But it's like, just don't
play that game then.
Fine!
Right.
Yeah, just don't play the game.
Just don't play the game if that's your...
Do they... I'm curious with the crane thing. Do they have... Are those all the cards in the game? Okay, I wasn't sure if there were, like, any special cards that made you touch. Nope. I guess inherently they would make you touch things attached to the crane. Right. But I like the color coding system. I like the deck, where it's just one deck, and it's like just flip in whatever's on the next one or the conditions.
Right.
Yeah. Very replayable. Very replayable.
It really is. Even if you get the same conditions, but it's like, just because of the way the board state comes out, it's like, oh my god.
Because you might get, like, a worker with a brick, but now instead of placing it on a orange and black beam, it's an orange and purple the next time.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're all buried.
Right.
Yep.
What happens if you run out of colors?
So you actually then so again, they give you two.
Yeah.
The idea is, well, you probably aren't running out of the second one before someone loses, so you have to place the other one. You don't get two choices.
That's what I assumed, but I was wondering if there was anything if you happen to actually just run out of both.
I didn't. Colors. Honestly, have never seen it happen, so I've never dug
Probably
into that.
Probably not. Yeah, it's... And what's interesting is these are the games that I'm, like, for the past months are what I'm leaning towards. Yeah. Games that are just, like, still strategic, but, like, the heavier games, like the Vita Lasarda games or stuff, is just stuff I'm not super interested in getting to the table as much. And I don't know why, but it's, like, just fun games.
Right.
Which is weird, because it's like, well, all games are fun. It's just like, right, but I don't consider this to be the same type of fun as Great Western Trail.
Right. So for me, I've been going more fun games, but I know I do that when, like, my work is more thought intensive.
Yeah.
Right. And so then I'm already spending all my energy on thinking, where when work is less thought intensive, then I want that Great Western Trail, that Vita Lasarda games, the heavy stuff that I have now puzzled through.
It's interesting because I used to, when I was younger, would be like, no, I'm always going to be in the mood for those. Because at the time, I was younger and I was always in the mood for those. And now as I'm getting older, I'm like, you know what? I mean, my job is not thought intensive at all. But it's more of just like lazy, like you just kind of get bleh. Yeah. So then it's like, well, I want to play games that I can laugh and not be so isolated and recluse while I'm gaming. And this one, it's just like...
Yeah, this one's super...
You're just involved the entire time.
Yeah. It's great for that.
And I'm trying to think of... Like I said, I don't play many dexterity games, so I'm not... I know there is a game that's similar like this that that Z Garcia talks about all the time, but it's cooperative. And he talks about the same kind of thing where how we're sitting here like helping each other. That game, you do that because it's cooperative.
Right.
So I might have to start looking into that as well.
And, like, I know this game says it's for 2 to 5. We've definitely played with more people. It didn't hurt anything. It just takes longer.
Oh, yeah. I guess so.
So, you just figure out, like, literally, I think we just, like, someone didn't have enough certificates, so we just kind of knew. Like, we just gave them a counter.
Yeah.
That's
or I guess you just, if someone doesn't have enough certificates, you make them go last, so by the time it gets to them, there's probably going to be discarded certificates you can hand them.
We've done things like that. I mean, so...
Dude, I'm telling you, strip men at work. And it's only with men. You have to play with men. You have to wear hard hats and overalls.
Again, this game could work for that. This game could work as a drinking game every time. You might need more certificates.
Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see strip men at work. With just me. Is there a solo variant?
And which men?
Is there a solo variant? Oh no, guys! I dropped a brick.
And Seth started his OnlyFans.
Probably make more money off of that than this channel. Probably. But yeah, just become the sexy men at work guy. I'd have to start going to the gym and like actually pull off the overalls. Well, life goals. Yeah, like, I don't know. This one, I was, like, just having a blast immediately. Even whenever you were, like, whenever we set it up and you were like, oh, it's a dexterity game, I was just, like, I knew I was going to have a good time.
Yeah, because I'm kind of like with Brett. I don't enjoy very many dexterity games. This was the one that when I first played it, I was like, okay, I love this.
Yeah.
I need to go find this. And it was more, I just didn't want to buy it from Amazon, and so I kept looking around. It was a little hard to find. And so, I mean, it's not hard to find on Amazon, but...
Okay, I was wondering, I'm like, really?
Yeah, no, I mean, Amazon always had, but I was trying to buy games from shops pretty much exclusively.
Sure.
And so, yeah, this game is fantastic. Absolutely amazing for a dexterity game.
Yeah. And Brett hates it.
Not hate.
Right, I mean, so it's like, All Play just put out, like, the word spelling game. And like
Illuminati or Literati?
Yeah, whatever. No. And multiple people were
We don't talk about the Illuminati.
Right.
It was that shared Scrabble game that we played at Literati. That wasn't by All Play.
No. There's a different one that they... And I don't enjoy word games, but I could still see it was a good game. Like, I understand why lots of people love it. Mm-hmm. It was just like, I'm just never going to want to play it.
Yeah.
It's because it's a word game. I don't want to play Scrabble.
Yeah.
Not because I think Scrabble actually is a halfway decent game from a mechanical standpoint. Mm-hmm. I'm just not going to enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah. I do like word games, but not like Scrabble types.
Right.
They're the code names or whatever, that same vein, where I consider them word games.
Right.
But you're right. Yeah, like dexterity is a fine thing. I'm not a huge fan of flicking, mainly because it hurts my fucking nail. It's just like, ping! Why?
Yeah, the only flicking game I kind of like it. Crokinole is not bad.
Oh, Crokinole is fun. That's true.
But that's about the only flicking
and that can get
game
like hyper competitive.
That can get super competitive.
Has a league
yes.
of Crokinole.
I guess billiards is a dexterity game.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because it is. Yeah, like Crokinole, I'd lean more towards the same as like fucking. I was gonna say cribbage. That's not it. With the bag, the bag, and you toss it into the cornhole. Thank you. It's like I feel like. Yeah, like it leans more towards that versus games like this, which is actually an interesting fine line.
Right.
But
it's to me the same fine line as chess, an actual board game or not.
That's exactly.
Because I've talked to lots of people who call chess as a mental exercise versus a board game.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, it's a board game. It's just perfect knowledge. That's all it is, everybody.
That's true.
So again,
it's a board game. Yeah, it's the same argument where people say, is this an activity or a game?
Right.
It's like, it's the same fucking thing. You're just being a pretentious piece of shit.
But
it's a game.
Like D&D. Is D&D a game or an activity? It's like...
It's a lifestyle.
That's what it really is.
That's the correct answer.
Social activity.
And people get jobs in order to buy more D&D stuff.
No, that's Warhammer.
Yeah, it's Warhammer.
People get jobs as DMs, and that's their life. So there was Crokinole's a flicking game. I know Catacombs a lot of people like. I think that's a one versus many flicking game. But I have flip ships. Those are cardboard shit, so it doesn't hurt. It's so hard to get, but I'm really enamored with Pitch Car.
Yeah.
But like to get those pieces is like insane amounts of money. So it's like, well, never getting that. But you mentioned another one that actually I think is a dexterity game that I kind of want to get, the Kabuto Sumo. It's the bug by I think it's by All Play as well.
It's by All Play.
That one always seems super fun too, but that's.
I'm trying to remember what convention I went to. They had, because that one's pretty miniature, but they had a table-sized version of that game.
Yeah, that would be cool.
And it was just cool because of the scale.
Sure.
It's super impractical to play. Like you're using hands to push things, versus just a little flick.
Yeah.
But it was definitely interesting.
Yeah, because what constitutes a dexterity game is when you're physically doing something. Because Kabuto Sumo, you're just really pushing. Like, and that's it, and the things just kind of move. Here, you're balancing and stuff, so that's an interesting kind of dynamic.
I think if you're physically when you physically move a piece on the board that affects it based on what your movement was.
Yeah,
to me that's a dexterity game,
right?
Like chess.
Well,
yeah, or like every board game, I'm moving my miniature over here.
To me, chess is not because I can play that in my head technically.
That's true.
I don't have a move. I can't play this in my head.
A dexterity game is one where there's a risk of something falling.
Right.
Yeah, I guess so.
Like bowling.
Right.
Yeah, because I actually
when
have a friend.
I bowl, there's a risk of something falling.
Yeah, he is it you?
No, it's just every once in a while a pin will knock over, and yay, I win.
Is bowling a dexterity? Yeah. Yeah, because I had a friend who
No,
bought.
bowling's activity.
I know. Yeah. It's not sport for those losers who think it is. Yeah, this one's just a blast. I'm definitely gonna have to snag myself a copy because this again is just so easy to bring out. And be like, okay, here's what you do. You flip this card and do what it says.
I want to say the rules has more on the explanation of every type of card type, what they do, like a full explanation, than it does for how to play the game.
Which is good, because that means the game is super simple, and they went out of their way to... it's like, oh, what does balance mean?
Right.
And it's like, well, I think it's going to mean this, but let's make sure, and it clearly tells you.
Yep.
And whenever you were talking about, like, to get the highest things, to get creative, how placing them vertically, I was like, I would have never thought of that. I would have never thought to be that guy to take a fucking... Be like, oh, I gotta place it on the white? Okay, time to be that guy.
Right.
And just... That's like...
And failure!
And then a massive collapse, and, like, everyone dies. And that's as simple as it takes.
Yeah.
Now... Is there
Like
any?
a house
Is
of
there,
cards.
well, is there any rule? Is that one violation?
That is one violation.
Guys, OSHA. Only 18 people died.
Right.
That was the whole workforce.
By the game standard.
And that's how you hate draft. Because then the next person has to clean all that up.
Yes. Technically, like, if you're pretty confident you're going to lose, like,
That's what I should have done. The turn that I just gave up and threw it away.
Oh yeah, you should have threw him into the...
I would have won, because Seth would have cleaned it up, and it would have been a big fuck you.
There's a negative there. There's a... Like...
Again, I've never played with a group that, again, this is so happy-go-lucky style of game.
It should be, yes.
Again, if you
And
play with someone that
it
was
didn't even
bad,
cross my mind to screw you in that way until later.
Right.
Yeah, like, if
Went, nope,
I feel like...
I just can't do it.
you're...
Now, I have thought, like, I call it screw you by placing it in such a spot where I was like, the next person, if this is successful, the next person, the chance that they're not going to knock this down is pretty slim.
Yeah, I think that's
And I'm
all.
like,
That's all within the
awesome.
spirit of the game.
Right.
But throwing a
'Cause
piece
it-
or like just like
Yeah.
Because
fucking
it could get back to you.
Right,
And
it could
you just
get back
screwed
to me.
yourself.
yeah, and that's
Exactly.
exciting if you're like, okay,
Yeah.
he's probably not gonna. Oh my god, he
Exactly.
succeeded. What did I do? And then it's gonna place it on the highest piece. Exactly, but yeah, I would be if someone actually and I knew if you actually tossed it because you were like, well, I can't do it, so I'm gonna lose. I'd be like, okay, well, let's just start over because that's super shitty.
Yeah.
But that would be super funny if someone was trying to place it and knocked all that. It's like,
And I've seen that. I've
There
seen
you
where
go.
this situation actually has happened in a game, and it knocked out 3 other players because they only had one, and they couldn't clean this up.
how would you even clean this up? So you have to
have
remove
to-
all the workers, all the
Yep.
dead bodies.
All the dead bodies. Then you have
have
to
to
move
lift-
each beam up
Well,
to
you'd have
another.
to be careful how you...
Yeah, you have to be careful not to knock anything down. But like, so there.
Oh my! Oh!
Okay. And then I gotta get this one over here and this purple one over here, this black and purple up somehow.
And you got to get rid of that body,
Yeah.
and then
You gotta get these oranges, and so like it's definitely.
and this guy's
doable.
crushed underneath the beam, so you
Right.
have to lift
All I
up
have
the
to
beam.
do is this, so I can now pick it up and actually move it, and then I can
Okay.
place it wherever I like. So again,
That's a game in and of itself. Let's do reverse Men at Work,
Right.
where you play a whole game, and then you find a way to cause it all to collapse, and then you get 3 more violations to
Exactly.
try and clean it.
yeah. So again, that's why I kind of like this game. Is it's really light. It's pretty. I call it. This system is a brilliant system
Oh, yeah.
of how to set it up. I like the fact that there's 2 ways to win. So if you're really good and really stay at hands, you can win that way.
And it really comes down to like centimeters,
Yeah.
honestly, on the highest. I thought that was actually going to be easy.
Yeah,
But
it's
then,
not.
like, I placed one, like the support one. I was like, I'm pretty sure that's higher. And it was, what, 10 to 9?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, shit.
Right.
Yeah, that is a good alternate
Right.
way to win. This one's great. Yeah, this one's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So, on a scale of 1 to 10, what are you guys giving Men at Work? Brett, since you might be the lowest.
I might. Well, I try to set aside my personal point of view and just evaluate the game on its basis.
That's
As a dexterity game, I'm going to say, man, I want to say 9, but I really can't think of any flaws. Except for just the randomness of this is going to be really easy or this is going to be impossible,
Yeah.
which is just, I mean,
It's always-
it's luck, and I want it to be more strategy.
Right.
Sure. So,
Stupid.
9?
10 then.
10? Oh, okay.
I'll be the low score though.
Well, because it's interesting whenever you start like thinking of like 10s, it's like compared to other games of its genre, it's like, is it better than all of them? That's how I personally do it. If it comes down to
That's
it,
why I
it's
normally
like,
do it.
It's like, is this the best dexterity game? Like, because didn't we gave Shobu like a 9 or a 10? We gave it an
Yeah, we
insanely
gave it
high
pretty
score
high.
because
I want to say 9 for myself.
yeah, just because of
It's
how
such a
good of
clean,
a
abstract game.
Abstract game, exactly.
Absolutely clean, perfect knowledge.
Right.
Feels good every time you play it.
Yeah. So, but honestly, the numbers are arbitrary, and it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. It's like, this is an 11. I said scale of 1 to 10. I'm giving it an 11.
Right.
Okay.
For me, it's just I can't see any flaws, and I can't think of any improvements.
Right.
Yeah. I guess for a 10. Now we're just getting into is like, would you want to play this and have a good time every time it was brought out? If like every time you came over, I was like, let's play.
I would be
War.
willing to.
Okay,
I'm not going to say I would be excited to.
gotcha.
Right.
Personally, I would give it 7.
Okay,
Okay.
but like that's the game system itself taken.
But,
Okay,
but in and of itself, a game for other people, yeah, I mean, in its niche, I think it's just about flawless.
and it's not because you talked about we played Bonsai earlier as well, and you were talking about like going to a bar or something, and it's like that kind of has too much of a space. This is a game I'd bring to the hookah lounge, to maybe not like a bar, but like a bar kind of cafe thing,
Right.
A chill place where people aren't going to like.
Yeah, you don't because
into
you don't need to
fights.
flick things across the table. You don't need to frisbee stuff. It's all going to be, even if it falls, it's going to be relatively self-contained.
Yeah.
So you have that element as well.
And other people are going to watch and go, "What the hell is going on over
Right?
there?"
It's like, shut up! Get away!
Right.
Can I play?
Yeah, to me, this is one of those where, like, the nice little brewery, that brews their own beer, has a couple tables that aren't going to mind some people. Like, I always feel like at coffee shops, everybody needs to be quietish.
Hyperventilating.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
And so, but like a brewery type location, people only a little bit loud, a little bit like cheering isn't going to be that bad.
yeah, that's true.
So for me, this is a 10. My reasoning of how, like, what makes a 9 to a 10 is whether I want to own it. This is a game I've been wanting for a long time.
Yeah.
To me, it's a straight up 10. I own a couple dexterity games, and this is probably still the one that I'm going to pick every single time if people want to play a dexterity game. If they don't want to play a specific dexterity game, this is the one I'm picking then.
Yeah, that's true.
You're at a 4 now.
Yeah, it's like, I actually had a horrible time. No, it's interesting because it feels so weird to give games like this such a high score whenever it's just like, because you could just be super reductive and be like, yeah, but it is just a dexterity game. But I think there's a lot of elements that come into a game like this. We talked about more of what this game brings to a game session versus the game itself, and all of them were positives. And for me to also be like, I need to actually own this, because I haven't been buying games recently.
Yeah, I haven't been buying games.
And for me to be like, this is one I actually want to go out and go on Amazon, because I don't care. But it's like, find a copy because I want to own it, and to want to immediately play it afterwards. I'm gonna agree. I'm gonna give this a 10.
Yeah.
I absolutely think this is fun, and it also helps that like we've all dealt with OSHA like violations and stuff. Because I remember one of my first jobs as an intern, I had to replace a camera on like a wall, and it was over like a stairwell, and we leaned a ladder against it, and all my only support was some guy's foot at the end, and I'm like, is this good with OSHA? And they're like, hey, they're not here. So
You don't have a claim. It all went well.
yeah, exactly. And I did it, but man, I'm like, I'm never doing this again. And that's kind of like what I felt playing this, except I wanted to play it. Yeah, I'm never playing this again. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a 10.
Yeah,
I think this was a winner. So that's our thoughts on Men at Work. Let us know what you think of the game in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.